Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the January 18th meeting of the Town Council and the Parking Authority Redevelopment Agency of the Town of Los Gatos. Madam Clerk, will you call roll, please?
Councilmember Stephen Leonardis.
Here.
Councilmember Barbara Spector. Here. Councilmember Diane McNutt. Here. Vice Mayor Steve Rice.
Here.
Mayor and Chair Joe Krasinski.
Here. Before we start the meeting, formally, I'd ask that you turn off your cell phones, if that's possible, or put them on vibrate. And also remind you that if you are intending to speak to the council tonight as a member of the public, we'd ask you to fill out one of those buff cards that are in the pockets where you're sitting, and make sure it gets up here to our clerk on my left. Tonight, we have the special opportunity for another leader in our community to speak before us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's pledge leader and young upcoming leader in the community is Abigail Dunley. She's a Los Gatos Student Parks Commissioner. She's also a senior at Archbishop Mitty High School. Go Monarchs. She's a Student Parks Commissioner, as I mentioned. She provided community service through the Girl Scouts, Sacred Heart Community Service. She's traveled to India last summer to provide services. She's a member of the French Club, the South Asian Student Union, and the Life Team at Archbishop Mitty. She's taking drawing, philosophy, French 4, physics, oral composition, AP government, and pre-calculus at school. That's her morning schedule. And then in the afternoon, she does a bunch of other things. She participates in cross-country. She likes photography, coin collecting, ticket stub collecting, blogging, and reading. And it's indicated most intriguingly that she can wiggle her ears. So she will give us a demonstration of that, out in the foyer when the meeting's over. I wonder if we could ask Abigail Dunley to come forward, please. And would we all rise for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's thank Abigail. You can. Thank you, Mr. Viceman. Abigail. Gift. Second time around. One more time. Let's thank Abigail. And now we have a proclamation, and I'd like to ask Gail Ronner to come forward to the front of the dais, and we'll give the proclamation from there. Gail is here in honor of the National Blood Donor Month, and we've decided to give a proclamation in honor of this particular experience, and I would like to read the proclamation to you right now. Whereas there is a need to ensure an adequate blood supply and to stress the importance of giving the, quote, gift of life, unquote, through the donation of blood. And whereas the American Red Cross Northern California Blood Services region distributes more than 130,000 pints of blood per year to help save local patients, yet fewer than 100,000 pints of blood are collected in the region annually. And whereas some 38% of the public is eligible to donate, yet fewer than 8% of these individuals present to donate blood. And whereas there's a need for additional healthy, regular volunteer donors to join the ranks of those who already give of themselves so generously. And whereas organizations in Los Gatos sponsored 11 blood drives from January 1st, 2010 to November 30th, 2010, producing 621 pints of blood, one donation can help save the lives of up to 3 people. That means as many as 1,863 people may have been helped through this life-saving act. And whereas everyday blood is needed in hospitals and emergency treatment facilities for patients with cancer and other diseases, for organ transplant recipients, to help save the lives of accident victims. And whereas there is a need for civic and service organizations and businesses to sponsor blood drives. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Joe Przinski, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Los Gatos, do hereby deem it appropriate and do hereby proclaim the month of January 2011 as National Blood Donor Month within our town, and urge all citizens to donate regularly. I also urge all civic and service organizations and businesses, if they have not already done so, to form blood donor groups to provide blood for others. Proclaim the 18th day of January 2011 in the town of Los Gatos, County of Santa Clara, State of California. Congratulations.
Thank you. I wanted to recognize the centers that hold the blood drives, and Los Gatos High School in particular holds 2 very successful blood drives every year. St. Mary's Church in downtown Los Gatos holds 6 blood drives a year, and Addison Penzac Jewish Community Center holds 4 blood drives a year, and Calvary Church helped with 2 blood drives last year. So that is the most we've ever collected in the city of Los Gatos. So I think the mayor, the town council, and all the residents in Los Gatos who very willingly come and help us out every month. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Now we come to our closed session report. Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The Council met in closed session and took no action.
Very astute summary. Thank you. Now it's a portion of the meeting for council matters. Does any member of council wish to add anything to the agenda at this point? Seeing none, manager matters.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, 3 brief items. Last year, one of our finest, Officer Leo Coddington, last week, excuse me, one of our finest, Officer Leo Coddington, was recognized as an Officer of the Year at the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, specifically for his work, and nominated by the Santa Clara County Mental Health Department as a crisis intervention trained officer. This was in recognition of Officer Coddington's work over the last year and a half with our homeless community, going above and beyond the call and taking what is normally a traditional police model and extending it to providing services and connections for life change for the few homeless we have in our community. And I wanted to single out Officer Coddington tonight. Second, the general plan has now been published based on your action in the fall. You've each received your copies, and it is available online right now in the Community Development Department, and we'll be profiling it on our front page over the next week or two. Last, over this past weekend, we had the tragic conclusion of a Los Gatos murder that ended in a murder-suicide in San Jose, and I just wanted to assure the council and our staff, as well as the community, that the police department continues to work with the district attorney on the final review of evidence, and the district attorney has committed to a release of a report either late this calendar year or early next with the results of that evidence review. And that concludes staff report at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. All right, tonight our Did You Know is a very special presentation by one of our planning commissioners, John Bourgeois. John, once upon a time, was on the Parks Commission, and then he moved to the Planning Commission, and he just retired from the chair's position on Planning Commission. And I'd ask that John talk to us tonight about boards and commission membership. John.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. It's my pleasure to come before you tonight to inform the public of a fantastic opportunity to become involved in their town's government. As the mayor said, over the past 7 or 8 years, I've served on several boards and committees, so I've been through this process several times, and I can assure everyone it is quite painless and quite rewarding. The town currently has 10 vacancies on 6 different boards and commissions, and I would encourage anyone that is interested to apply. I know when I applied for the Parks Commission, there were probably 6 or 7 people applying for one spot, so I know that there are many well-meaning, intelligent, motivated citizens out there that are interested in participating in their government, and I would encourage them to do so. The deadline for applications is this Friday, and interviews would be followed 10 days later, I believe, on the 31st. So again, the information is up there, and you can contact the clerk's office or through the website. And democracy is not a spectator sport, so I encourage everyone to get involved, and no experience is required. Staff does a great job of preparing new commission members for their duties. So anyone out there interested, please consider applying. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And to reiterate, we have 6 vacancies actually on commissions right now. We have 11 vacancies on 6 commissions, and at this point, we only have 6 applications on file. So a word to our audience here in the chamber and to those watching at home. Take John's encouragement to heart. It's a great opportunity to be a participant in our town's government. And please file with the clerk's office by January 21st if you are interested. And if you contact the clerk, she'll certainly help you walk through the application process. Okay? Again, thanks, John, very much. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. And this is items to be acted on in a single motion. Do we have any member of council who wishes to pull an item from consent? Any members of the audience who wish to pull an item? Before we go to a motion, there was a desk item presented to the council for, it's item 5-1. It's on the redevelopment agency, a joint agreement, and this is under the consent calendar within the redevelopment portion. So if council would note that desk item. Having heard no one from the audience indicate an interest in pulling an item and none from council, I would ask if there's a motion.
Move approval of consent items.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. That brings us then to verbal communication. And this is an opportunity for anyone in our public to speak before council on an item not on tonight's agenda. We ask that you note the time frame for speaking, not only in verbal but all other presentations to council. There's a 3-minute time frame. The timer is on the podium, and if you hear a first chime, that doesn't mean you're finished. That means you have just a short period of time. But if you are interested, please indicate that by filling out one of these buff cards. I have one request to speak during verbal communication, and it's from Justin D. Vanderlaan. Mr. Vanderlaan.
Thank you. I have lived in Los Gatos for 50 years. Prior to that time, I also attended Los Gatos High School in the class of 1937. After my wife passed away, I joined the Bridge Group at the Senior Citizen Center, and it's one of the things that kept me alive. Pardon me. Some weeks or months ago, the town turned the Senior Center over to the Recreation Commission. And there has been no change in the situation at the Senior Center. And as far as the bridge is concerned, there's only one employee, which is Lynette's, worked for the town for many years. The senior citizens set up the tables, set up the chairs, take the chairs and tables down at the end of the day. There's been no additional cost. We've been paying $1 for quite a little while, which takes care of the coffee and a few cookies and so forth. Last Wednesday, there appeared a sign that said from now on it's $5 a piece for everybody to play bridge. Now, the Los Gatos senior citizens there are not all millionaires. We're talking about $5 a week, $20 to $25 a month, over a couple of $100 a year. And many of these senior citizens that play bridge also take advantage of the very inexpensive lunch provided by the county, which is an evidence that they're not wealthy. And I would ask the council to direct the manager to find out why this increase was imposed on us. And certainly there, in our lease agreement with the Recreation Commission, they do not have the power, or should not have the power, to destroy the programs that the town has operated on for many years. So my request is that the council direct the manager to make an investigation and meet with the Recreation Commission and find out what's happening and report back to the council. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderlaan. Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Vanderwall, I'd like to ask Regina Faulkner to come and get your contact information so we can follow up with you. And we will talk to the Los Gatos Saratoga Recreation Department. I did want to highlight that Lynette, who he mentioned, does not work for the town, but in fact works for the Recreation Department. And I'll use this as an opportunity to cite that the Recreation Department is hoping to open a senior drop-in center later this month, early February, as a new program and service at the Adult Recreation Center.
All right, so the issue is that Ms. Faulkner will follow up. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vanderlaan. There are no more cards for verbal communication. Anyone else like to do it now? If not, then we're going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is public hearings. And this is item number 6. We have a public hearing regarding hazardous vegetation abatement, that is weeds. And we want to ask staff if they would present regarding this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Happy New Year to all. This is one of two weed abatement this is one of two vegetation abatement programs that the town participates in. One focuses on the abatement of weeds and is done earlier in the calendar year, and another focuses on brush and coincides more with the fire prevention season as we move into the late summer, early fall. At this point, the weed abatement program has been in existence for over 25 years and operates mainly on an inspection basis. There are 108 parcels that have been identified in town as being potential hazards under this program, and this is the first step in that annual process where we approve the list, and then property owners are given until April 15th to perform the work themselves. And only at that point, if the work is not done, is the work done by the county, and the property owners are billed, and there is a fee schedule included in the report. I would also like to introduce Ray Moreno, who is here from Santa Clara County, and he's hoping to make the 7:30 council meeting in Monte Sereno. I told him not to worry too much about travel time, so if we can get him out of here in about 15 minutes, he'll probably be just fine. So at that point, I would look for questions and hope to hold a public hearing.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Capurso. Council, questions for our staff? Yes, Mr. Leonardis.
Just wanted to know, I didn't notice any state agencies such as Caltrans listed under the weed abatement program. Are they exempt from that?
I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't know that other government-owned properties have ever been identified in this program, but I'm sure I'm going to get a more complete answer here in just a second. But whether they're identified or not, we have contacts with Caltrans, and so as we identify properties, we will certainly approach Caltrans. But I'll let Mr. Moreno add to that.
Just by way of introduction, this is Ray Moreno, who's Inspector for Agriculture and Environmental Management with the County of Santa Clara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. And in answer to your question, as far as other public agencies, we do not have authority to abate other public agencies. And that is the reason why we only target the privately owned, properties.
Okay.
But
Thank
we
you.
do work with other public agencies to make sure that everybody's complying with the minimum fire safe standards.
All right. Any other questions? Any member of the public wish to speak to this item? We haven't gotten any cards, but you're certainly free to come forward if so desired. I see none, so I think we can close that public portion. And I turn to the council for a motion or a recommendation. Councilwoman Spector.
Don't quite know how the staff wants this worded, but I will move that we begin the process to order abatement of hazardous vegetation weeds.
Okay, that's a pretty good phraseology, I'd say.
Second.
And there's a second. It's moved and seconded to order the abatement of hazardous vegetation weeds, in parentheses. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, Director Capurso has also said he'll follow up with Caltrans, the fire department, as well as the Department of Agriculture about weed abatement in public right-of-way of state agencies.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, that actually is the last item. There's no other business. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to adjourn this meeting to closed session to do an evaluation of a public employee. And at this point then, I would call this session adjourned to our closed session. Thank you.